Okay. I should sound better. Okay. There we go, everyone. I should sound better, hopefully. Shouldn't sound any worse. Let me put it that way. So I'm going to be shuffling the cards. And I should sound better, Ty. I should sound better, hopefully. Sounds nice. Awesome. Okay, good. Good. I was tinkering with stuff. Still have no idea what I did, but it's working, so. Hey, Liz. Again, sorry about that, guys. But thank you for sticking around. Okay. So. Oh, I'm glad it's gone. I had to tinker with a bunch of different things. Hopefully the audio does sound nice, too. Okay, so let's shuffle these cards up and do our generals. A little bit late on the generals, but I won't tell if you won't, so let's give this a shot here. Oh, holy gee. Okay, guys. Let's do this here. Okay. Let's get this going here. You guys let me know if it sounds kind of sharp, if I'm doing something, because I can adjust the gain to make it so it's not as bad audio-wise, but from what I was listening to, it sounded a lot better, and should we get enough? Hi, Elizabeth. Internet breaks are an awesome thing. I agree, man. Take a break from the dopamine slot machine. Your phone is what I'm trying to say. Social media, also. It's good to just kind of unplug. Hopefully everything's going well for you, Elizabeth. Okay. So we got these shuffled. Let's do this here. Let's do this. Going. Okay, so we'll do two piles like we usually do, and we're going to do the 13th first. So Tuesday the 13th, the luckiest day of the month. So that's always good. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's do the 13th and the 14th. Things are starting to stabilize, and I assumed they would. Really just had to let the universe take the wheel for a bit and ride, LOL. But in short, yes, I am well. Hope you are too. Doing good. Doing good. I was telling people that... Yeah, I definitely doing good. Just going through a little bit of a loss. My uncle passed. Wasn't super close with him, but my mom was. And so trying my best to be there for her. because she had foot surgery, and then this happened, and then other things too, and so I'm just trying to be there, you know. Okay, so July 13th, let's do this. Hey Jenny G, how you doing? Oh, we have a guest. We have a guest. Little Allie right here. She's your good luck. She's your good luck, everybody. Thank you, you guys. I appreciate that. It was interesting. He was someone that was always kind of in the background of my life. Didn't really know him super well, but I mean, he was my uncle, so I knew him enough. And it's just interesting when an archetype, kind of like a figure, you know, moves on. Oh. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that, my friend. Okay. Let's do this here. Alright, you guys, pile 1 or 2, and then we'll go from there. And if you guys don't pick a pile, we'll just do pile 1. There ain't no pressure. None of that stuff. None of that shit going down. Not today. So, I'll just keep grabbing that. I'll move that over. So we'll do pile... Here's pile 1. Here's pile 2. Liz is going with pile 1. Alright, that's an excellent pile. That's good. We've got pile 1 and 2. Both are good piles, but let's read pile 1 first. Let's see what we get here. Oh man, that is an interesting pile. A lot of energy with this one. Okay, so you guys don't see this card very much, but I'll show you all the stuff. So we have Happy Family in reverse. Then we have the Fountain card. There's an infinity symbol next to it. The Fountain card is not in any traditional tarot, so the Fountain card is a card that never comes up, usually. It is incredibly rare that this card comes up, and so for this to come up, there's a lot of energy here. We're talking about dealing with the flow. We're talking about dealing with kind of the background energy of the universe, sort of a vibe, and I'll explain that here in a second. But then we have the Death card in reverse. So I could literally read this for me, right? I could read this as the death of a family member, because literally Happy Family and Death in reverse are right there. But if we're not reading it in that sense, then we can read it like this. So for Tuesday, we could be dealing with the Fountain card is interesting. It's the one card I haven't really buffed up on. So you'll see me do something you don't normally see me do. I'm going to go grab the book for this because I never read the Fountain card. So give me 1 second here. I just want to make sure I get it right. Don't be staring at my butt, guys. That's not right. Okay. I got our little book here. Nope. Had it upside down and backwards. There we go. I've got our little book. So we're going to see what the Fountain says here. Hold on. So the Fountain card deals with just being, right? So I feel like we're resisting change, and maybe we're wanting something to happen with our family, or maybe we're wanting something to happen with kind of a conclusion, is sort of what I'm feeling here. The best thing we can do is to just be in the situation. Kind of like how Elizabeth was talking about letting the universe take the wheel for a bit, right? And in that process, you're just allowing things to be because you realize that going against it, it's kind of like swimming upstream. And when we're swimming upstream for such a long time, we lose the fact that we can just flow downriver. We feel like there must be something up there because it's really hard to do. But sometimes it's better to just let ourselves flow down the river instead of trying to fight and go upstream all the time. In fact, it's necessary. So for this card here, we have the infinity symbol on the fountain. Okay, look up there. Trying to grab that card. And with that infinity symbol, okay, the fountain exists outside and beyond the cycles of birth, death, time, and form. It is the nameless, changeless source of which everything is a part. It is waking from the dream of separateness and identity and the recognition of one's self as not only connected to all things, but all things divine nature. When the fountain appears in your reading, relinquish all illusion of control and remain quiet. It invites you to observe, masterless, and to just be, effortless, and indistinguishable from life. You are the voice and the breath of universes. Okay? So the meaning of this card is oneness, a moment of cosmic clarity, fully awake, the end of seeking enlightened being, surrender to that which you are whole and perfect. Okay? So, it's actually a pretty good statement there. Hey, Toto! So we have death in reverse, we have the fountain card, and we have happy family. This, to me, could be us dealing with a situation where, honestly, I talk about it on the channel a lot, the narcissistic abuse or different things going on in family. It could be learning how to deal with that, learning how to deal with family, learning that things may not be the way we wanted them to be, but that doesn't mean that it's not okay. Things have to be the way that they are for a reason, and we learn lessons and we learn self-love and compassion from these things. But it may not look how we thought it would look. But the road to kind of identifying the self and realizing our own wholeness, possibly without family members or friends or people being there for us that could have been toxic or could have been people that were just not nice people, it may hurt to lose them now, but in the long run we'll realize that it was actually the best for us. Not that it won't hurt, not that it won't be a painful thing, because some of us could be talking about leaving behind a mother or a father or even a whole family. Like there could just be a very toxic situation, and that's not easy to deal with in any way, shape, or form. But it's better to have a sense of identity with yourself than to lose yourself around people that would never understand you anyway. And I understand that's a sensitive topic, that's a sensitive subject, and so it's not easy to talk about. But to me, it's allowing ourselves to just be in the face of this and just allow ourselves to feel, allow ourselves to just exist, and allow ourselves to just be in the moment. So some of us could be dealing with that on Tuesday. This to me is this is a bigger decision, because it feels like we're not just saying, it feels like for some of us we're not just saying, oh, I'll cut them off for a little bit. It feels like for some of us it's almost like we're saying goodbye. And in this instance, it's kind of like we have to say goodbye to people, and we have to grieve people that are still alive, which sounds odd, I know, but that's kind of what it feels like when we're dealing with this. And at first it feels like things are falling apart, but they're actually coming together. It's just we're getting rid of all the things that no longer serve us, and that could be people, that could be family, that could be friends. And so hopefully from this we can learn more, and we can grow from that kind of connection. So let's look at this next one here. I know that was a little heavy. The fountain card, though, is a very, very powerful card, and in that certain circumstance, right next to death in reverse, we're just holding on too tight to the expectation that a family member could be this, or that a friend could be this for us, when in turn we should be holding on to no expectation, because when we have expectations with family or friends, we're making it so that if they don't live up to those expectations that we've identified, that it hurts us deeply. So it's better to understand the person how they are than looking at everything with rose-tinted glasses. Even though living in the world can be very difficult. Awesome, Amber. Awesome. It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys have seen the Matrix movie. It's kind of like that, actually, in a lot of ways. When we're dealing with these kinds of situations, we kind of wake up, right, to the real world. And when we do that, it may seem like we'd want to live in the fantasy. We'd want to be there more. But in the fantasy world, there lies expectations and there lies dysfunction. And there's kind of something in our soul that is saying, I just don't feel complete. I don't feel like this is for me. Something feels off. And we carry that feeling with us. When we wake up and we start understanding what this feeling is and what we can do and how we can live life in a way that isn't with expectations on other people, but rather that we can control ourselves and how we react and respond to events that happen to us, then we start to take control in a way that is kind of effortless eventually, because we're understanding the emotional connection here. And we stay away from people that don't give us that sense of peace. We realize that our emotional responses and our emotional triggers they're very precious. We don't want to have them be activated. We'd rather live a peaceful existence. And so that's kind of what this is bringing into effect. So if you guys are dealing with that, if we're talking about the cutting off of family members or getting rid of people that no longer serve us, and when I say serve us, I don't mean in a narcissistic sense. People that don't share in our happiness, or people that try to stifle us or control us or manipulate us, they no longer serve us because they're self-serving. They just want something for them. They don't care about us. So we want to get rid of those connections that no longer resonate so that we can bring in connections that do. So this is kind of teaching us what we do and what we don't want in relationships. This is sort of setting boundaries. Okay, so that was that one. Let's look at the second pile here. Let's see what we can get. Okay, this is also for Tuesday. We have Wheel of Fortune in reverse. I'll be damned if it's not the same message twice. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Okay. Caring connections in reverse. The Devil in reverse. Okay, so the Wheel of Fortune is a card of progress. It's not good or bad. Like, okay, not progress. It's a card of movement, right? And movement is only good or bad based on our perception of the movement, okay? If something moves in a certain direction, we'll say, well, that's a bad direction for it to move in. But with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, it feels like we're blocking off a connection here. It feels like we're blocking off movement or progress. Maybe we could be having a situation where this is very difficult for us, this is very hard. When I see caring connections in reverse and the Devil in reverse, we could be someone who has attached our identity in a lot of ways to people that didn't necessarily care for us in the way that we wanted to be cared for. A lot of us have been told that we're too sensitive, or we're too this, or we're too that, and family members, friends have used that as a way to control us, because when they say you're too this, it makes us self-conscious, it makes us not want to be that anymore. But actually it is a gift to be sensitive. It is a gift to feel things fully. It is a gift to be in the moment and allow things to affect us. Other people don't understand that, and they never will. And because of that, these people don't have happiness in their lives. These people don't have a lot of those kinds of emotions. They may feign happiness. They may look like they have that with a fake smile, but this to me is people that no longer can feel their own emotions. They no longer can feel. And if you can't feel sadness, if you can't feel a deep sense of sadness, then you can't feel real happiness either. In order for us to feel the roots of our tree, of our person, they have to reach down to hell so that our branches can reach up to heaven, right? That's a symbology of like the feeling part of the body. We have to understand what pain and suffering can be so that we can express ourselves fully when there is happiness and there are good moments. So it's a good thing that we can feel and that we can understand this part of life. The Devil in reverse, though, is interesting because we could be clouding our own judgment. And when I said it feels like we're addicted to others, or we're addicted to that sense, like our identity is tied up in others, the Devil card is about addictions. In this situation, especially with caring connections in reverse, we could be going through, like I've talked about before, a cognitive dissonance where a part of us is saying that this is easy for us to do, no problem, we can do this. If we're talking about getting rid of family members, getting rid of friends that no longer serve us, getting rid of connections that no longer serve us, a part of us is like, yeah, I want to do that, spring cleaning, let's go. Another part of us is saying this is much harder than I thought, and I don't want to have to do this. But it's something that when we start doing it, it may hurt at first, but it does get better. It does get easier. But at first, a lot of emotions are going to come up, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. Let yourself feel that, because we're talking about some deeper core issues. We're talking about some deeper wounds here. And there's nothing wrong with feeling mad, frustrated, angry, sad, depressed, despair, things like that. But these are okay things for us to feel. Other people will say, oh, you don't want to feel that. It is part of the journey for us to feel and to allow ourselves to feel. The devil in reverse. We just need to see where we're coming from. We need to see what part other people play in our lives. And with the caring connections in reverse, to me, this could also be something where we're allowing ourselves to be our own caring connection. Maybe we're not letting other people take that role as much, because every time we let someone else try to take care of us, I feel like they kind of blow it. And until we understand what's going on, we're going to surround ourselves with people that don't quite get us. They don't quite understand us. When we get rid of the connections that no longer work, we realize our own value and we realize what we're worth and what we will and won't put up with. Then we start attracting true people to us, because we ourselves have become true. We ourselves have become kind of like, right now, you're a gemstone. These kinds of situations here, these kind of polish the gemstone. It makes it so that we shine brighter. We can bring in better people. We can bring in better situations, and we can start living life in a way that feels much more organic, and it doesn't have to be forced. But again, that takes time. It's all in that kind of process. Okay, so let's move on to Tuesday. Hopefully, if that's something you guys are going through, I do hope that this channel helps you go through this. That's kind of what I want to do, is to help people that are going through this as much as possible. So let's move on to Wednesday. So I'm going to shuffle the cards again here. Okay, so let me just see something here. Okay, so Amber, you are on the list here. I've already got you written down, so Amber's the first one on the list. Now let's shuffle here. Thank you, Liz. Yes, liking and subscribing does help support the channel, you guys. And also checking out the Patreon to get discounts on your readings helps to support the channel too. Okay, let's do this here. Okay. Yep, we got Amber on the paid list. Thank you, Liz. Okay, we'll shuffle these cards here. We'll do Wednesday, Amber, and then you can post your question. Pile 1 or 2, you guys, for Wednesday. gonna take a drink here. A little sippy of some water. Okay. Amber says 1. Okay. Let's do pile 1. Okay, this is good. So Wednesday, we get Ace of Cups. We get the Chariot. That's kind of on an angle. So okay, then we get the Chariot. And then we get door to personal healing and happiness. Cool, Toto, my friend. So that Sky mod, I'm sure, is awesome. Okay, so Ace of Cups, the Chariot, and door to personal healing and happiness. So this being in the first pile here on Wednesday, this is really good. This is really good. So we're dealing with some fast-moving energy, door to personal healing and happiness. So Wednesday could be a very, very opportunistic day. There could be something really exciting happening on Wednesday here. It feels like we're doing work. It feels like we're doing something to get to our goal. Ace of Cups is emotional. It's like the start. It could be the start of a relationship. It could be. The Chariot could possibly be a Cancer individual. Door to personal healing and happiness could be someone coming in our lives that could help us, or could be working with us in some way. Someone who helps us to make sense of things. Maybe someone who can listen to us when we're talking about our kind of situation. Hey, buddy. Ryan. Come on. Nah, he's a little shy, aren't you, buddy? Okay, so this right here is good. This is a really, really good situation. Not much else I need to say on this one. Just the fact that we have door to personal healing and happiness, the Chariot, Ace of Cups, fast-moving energy that I feel like could help us lift our mood in a big way, or could help us feel a sense of like starting something new emotionally, or starting something new in that sense. So that's something we could look forward to as a possibility. Let's see, the number... So we have the number 7. Yeah? Come on. Alright, Mr. Whiskers is making a comeback, aren't you, buddy? Mr. Whiskers is his stage name. Aren't you a good boy? You have something to say? You're a very heavy boy. Gotta quit feeding him bowling balls. He loves them. Don't you? Alright, so that one right there, that is a good day. That Wednesday seems like it's going to be a good day. Something's coming up with the word regeneration, which is interesting. So it could be, he is a cute one. It could be that this is a day where we're feeling more, rejuvenated. We're feeling more like we've got this. So it feels like we're getting some energy back. It feels like things are coming up for us that are very positive, very good. So let's do this here. Let's get these shuffled up. And let's do this one. Let's do this one. Alright, everybody. Let's look at the next cards here and let's see what we got now. Alright, so we got Community right there. Then we get the 9 of Wands right there. Isn't that just a beautiful card? And then we got Temperance in reverse. That right there is your Sagittarius energy. However, it's in reverse. Alright, I'll stop. But, so, Temperance in reverse, community, 9 of Wands. So, we could be dealing with a Sag. A Sag in reverse, which... don't know how to say Sagittarius in reverse, but if I could, I would do it right now. Temperance is a card of combining and mixing, right? When it's in reverse, it could be that the things aren't mixing and combining. Community is upright, 9 of Wands is upright. So we could have a situation where we could be struggling with a social event. Not saying that it won't go well, because the community's upright. Hey, Juliet, how you doing? But when this is upright here, the 9 of Wands, it makes me feel like we're struggling, we're trying to get somewhere. So there's a lot of fire energy going on, but there's not a lot of burning. If you would want to think of a fire as like, you know, we need fuel. We need fuel for that fire, for it to burn. It feels like we're starting to get to a point where we're feeling kind of exhausted. And when we're feeling exhausted, it can be harder for us to carry on. So I do think for some of us, Wednesday is going to be a social day, and we are not going to be feeling up to being social. We're going to feel like, I feel like we'll feel good, but I don't feel like we will want company. So it could be something like that. Or there could be a Sagittarius coming in that could be a little bit of a one-person wrecking crew, if you can imagine that. So be on the lookout for whatever's coming up. It does feel to me like we'll just have to be careful with this energy. But honestly, Wednesday seems like it's going to be good. Temperance in reverse, in my opinion, each of these cards that's in reverse, I feel like they want to be upright. So I feel like we'll have the opportunity to try to mix energies, to try to understand things. But keep working on your boundaries, like if something's going on, which can be difficult for us, I know, but honestly, I don't feel like it'll be too bad. There could be a tendency here to go into a sense of martyrdom, right? Maybe there's a sense of victimhood here that could possibly happen. The 9 of Wands with the community and the Temperance in reverse makes me feel like we could be having a day, some of us. Some of us could have a really good day on Wednesday, and some of us could have a day where we're feeling personally picked on. Like the universe has reached down and they've said, you need to do this, you need to do this. And we could just be feeling exhausted or tired. And if that's the case, if we're doing a social situation, just allow yourself, like give yourself space, give yourself time. And if you don't feel like talking, don't. Or if you don't feel like socializing too much, don't. But if it's a place you have to be, you know, just sort of get through it the best way that you can. And yeah, so that's what I'm seeing here. Hey, Brenda, how are you doing? All right, so let's get this going here. And Amber, if you would like my friend, please post your question. Okay. Sorry about that. That was a message from my mom. So the funeral is going to be on Friday. So, yeah. We will see how I'm feeling on Friday, and we'll kind of play it by ear that way. So we might just do a Monday, Wednesday situation this week, and then on Friday, yeah, we'll just see. We'll play it by ear. So. Anyway, let me stretch here. Oh. And if you guys wouldn't mind, just subscribing would be super helpful, and leaving a thumbs up for anyone new that's watching. Because we do have a cat right here. Oh. That's all you need to know. There is a cat, in case you guys were wondering. Okay, so let me do this here. Let me write this down. There also is fuzz everywhere. Cats tend to shed, don't they, my friend? So, there we go. So, Amber says, my energy has been feeling all over the place. I feel really run down and more burnt out than normal. Is anyone sending me negative energy? Can you pick up on any names or advice? Sorry for your loss. Thank you, Amber. I appreciate that. Let's do this instead. So, you're feeling more burnt out than normal, Amber, because, and I'm going to say this, and you can tell me if this sounds right, okay? You're going through a paradigm shift. You're going from believing one thing, and you're trying to adopt, I feel like you're trying to adopt new behaviors. Have you been watching those video recommendations from the YouTube channels that I gave you? Because that is not light. That is not light stuff. That is heavy stuff to work through. And when we're working through that kind of situation, a lot can come up, and we can feel exhausted and fatigued. Let's see here. Perfect, yes, and they've been draining. I've also been watching other ones about love and relationships, daily habits / tips. Awesome, Amber, awesome. So you're putting a lot of energy and effort into trying to sort of understand what these videos are about, to understand what's going on with you and with different things that have been happening in your life. So the feeling more burnt out than normal, I personally feel like that's what this is right here. You're trying to understand things, you're trying to see things in a new direction, and so it's going to make you feel more tired, more exhausted right now, because you're learning tips, you're learning how things are, and you're kind of undoing the wiring in your brain. And to do that takes a massive amount of energy. You're unlearning things that are no longer useful to you, and you're trying to replace those with good habits, and that takes time, because it's almost like, in my opinion, it's like we're sort of coming out of an addiction to a way of being. And it was kind of a dysfunctional addiction, and now we're focusing on allowing ourselves to be in a state where we're more in the present moment, and we're sort of taking accountability, and we're taking responsibility for what's going on with us, because even though we didn't do this to ourselves, it's kind of our responsibility to clean up the mess that was made. And so right now, that's what you're doing, and that's going to be difficult. That will be difficult to deal with. It does get easier, though, Amber. It does get easier, but since this is something that you've, 2 weeks? Have you been doing this for about 2 weeks? I feel like it's been about maybe 2.5 weeks. Hi, Brenda. Yes, you absolutely can, my friend. It says right here, you can also go to my Patreon as well. If you subscribe to that, you get your questions cheaper. So it's up to you what you would want to do. But instead of $10 a question, it would be $7, but it's like $5 a month if you guys are interested. Just if you guys are looking for a better deal, because I understand this can be a little pricey, but if you support me on Patreon, then it gets a little less so, depending on which plan you sign up with, but that's up to you guys. But absolutely, Brenda, if that's something you want to do, my friend, absolutely. So, Amber, you've been watching these recordings, you're very welcome, Brenda. You've been watching recordings of narcissist... Okay. Yes, I've been watching recordings of narcissistic abuse in families. And like I've said, Amber, to me, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that those videos have been beyond painful. That's been something where we've probably tried to avoid this pain for a long time. And now instead of running from it, we're looking at it head on. And because of that, that can be exhausting. We're trying to turn fear and anger, we're trying to turn those into emotions where we can transmute them into something more positive, like love and self-acceptance. And because of that, that's going to be difficult for us to deal with at first. Like I said, it does get easier, but you're learning a lot of tips, and sometimes you're learning them so quick that it's just like your brain's connecting in a different way, so it's taking its toll. It does get easier, though. Eventually, there's no need to watch the videos as much. Like, brush up on it, learn as much as you can right now, because this is the most important part. You need to learn as much as you can, you need to understand as much as you can. But eventually you'll understand what it is, and you'll understand how to avoid it, what to look for, signs and things like that. And that's the main thing I want you guys to do, because with this narcissistic abuse that we talk about, it's important for us to focus on why it's happening, what's going on, and number one, that it's not our fault, because it's not. And it's important for us to do that, because if we don't get better, we become like the narcissist as well. Eventually, it's important for us to take the steps to mitigate that kind of damage so that we can heal ourselves and in turn put that positive energy out into the world. But the healing process is always the most difficult part, Amber. Does that help address that question? So much cat fuzz. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If we've grown up in a narcissistic... Awesome. Okay, see, I say awesome because you're realizing it, not because that's what you're going through. The realization is good, Amber, because we can learn what to do, what to expect, and who we're working with, right? Again, that's a painful process, but it's like a necessary process. Should you be weary of... Let me see what I can get. I'll see if I can pick something up psychically. Hey, buddy. Just give me a second here, Amber. And since Amber said, can you connect psychically, I'm not going to ask her if I can connect because she was wording it that way. But normally you ask someone if you can connect first before you do any psychic work. Okay, so let's try this out here. The one person, Amber, that I'm getting that's showing up, it feels like it's more male-oriented. I get two things for this person: steel boots, and then the fact that they are someone who disappears. So I feel like this person comes in and out of your life kind of as they please. And the steel boots to me are representing someone that is very rigid in their way of thinking. And I feel like this person is probably someone you've dealt with many times. That's the only thing I'm getting here. Thank you, Brenda. I'll try and get something else, though, too. Let me see. Awesome, Brenda. Thank you. I'll put you on the list here. You're right after Amber's reading. I'm going to spend a little bit more time here for Amber, though. But thank you so much, Brenda. I appreciate that. I don't know if there's an A name, Amber, with this, but Antonio or an A name of some kind sort of came through with this name, but it feels like there's someone that just comes in and out of your life as they please, and I feel like that right now for you is going to be difficult to deal with because you're trying to learn how to establish boundaries and you're trying to learn how to do that. Like how to establish the boundary, how to focus on building up your own sense of self and your self-esteem. And I feel like there's a person here that would undermine that kind of work, and it does feel masculine in nature. So it could be a woman that has very strong masculine traits, but to me this does feel more male-oriented. And possibly has an initial of an A, so either it's a last name or it's a first name, but that's what I'm seeing here. Nothing you can't handle. It's not like you can't handle this energy. I just want you to be aware that there is energy that can come in and kind of knock us off balance while we're going through this kind of thing. Because right now, Amber, we're kind of more vulnerable than we have been because we're learning and we're trying to understand things. And so in a few months, I don't feel like we'll be in that space. But for now, it feels like that's kind of where we're at. We're more vulnerable. We're more impressionable. And because of that, I'm feeling like we just need to be careful with who we share our energy with. But you're also seeing signs in other people. You're starting to understand what that looks like. So, yeah, does that make sense, Amber? The steel boots and the disappearing, the way I saw it, it does feel like it could be more romantic. Because the boot part makes me feel like when this person comes in, they come in a way that's very rigid, and I feel like the only people that would do this is someone you would know a little more intimately. So to me, that's what it feels like. But I'm still learning as a psychic, so if that's not the case, that's not the case. You're the one that gets to be the judge on that. But it feels more romantic in my opinion. But it feels like a kind of romance that's very, very one-sided. As in, you would be putting in the effort, this person would be putting in nothing. And so it doesn't feel like a romantic connection in that sense. It feels like it's, this person's just sort of uses people, is what I would feel. The steel boots and the coldness of the steel boots, to me, feels like this person sort of steps on people. Not sort of, but they do step on people. And maybe there's something to do with a star sign that's Aquarius as well. Or a star sign. Maybe. I just had that come in, so still learning, but that could be a possibility as well. There could be Aquarius somewhere in there. Is that making sense, Amber? That could work. It would be Aquarius moon, sun, or rising is what I was feeling, so it could be that. It definitely could be that. Generally, I don't get star signs like that, so... Hold on 1 second. Does what I say make sense, Amber? Okay, and then being tied together and then having there be a separation was another thing that came in. So it does feel pretty close knit at one point, and then now it's not. So that's what I'm feeling. But it does feel like this person tends to pop up, and then they leave, and then they pop up, and then they leave. So be wary of people that come into your life just to pull on your energetic field and then leave. They pull on your emotions, they pull on your reactions, and then they leave. Just be aware of that kind of energy where it's like someone comes in, they say, I'm here, and then you're like, what? And then they're like, I'm gone. You know, that's kind of the energy I'm talking about. It's almost like they could be a magician kind of energy, but not in a fun way, in like a they just leave you hanging sort of way. Just waiting to... Hopefully that resonates, Amber. Well, that's... So, Amber, this is why we're talking about this now. So, when we're talking about the narcissistic abuse, when we're talking about this stuff and we're healing, we're going to make it so this doesn't happen in the future with our future connections, because we're going to learn more. We're going to understand things more. When we know better, we do better, okay? And because we can be a product of our environment growing up, maybe we didn't have, more than likely we didn't have the proper role models when it comes to relationships or love. So now we're starting to learn what that could possibly look like. And when we heal from those wounds that we had when we were little, we can start to incorporate a sense of playfulness and a sense of wholeness as adults. And that's what we're focusing on now, Amber. So this is a transformation and a transformational process. So it just takes time, and it takes gentleness and kindness on this way, because we've been there. We've done the voice yelling at us in our heads and screaming at us in our heads. We've lived through that narrative long enough. What would happen if we could take that voice and make it into something more kind and positive? Because when we've healed in that sense, then we can start to attract the people and the relationships that we would want, because we're no longer in a triggered response. We're no longer feeling like we have to do something that we don't want to do. A lot of these narcissistic relationships that we can be in, we feel like we have to be everything for that person. We feel like we have to be the moon and the sun. We feel like we have to always be on alert, walk on eggshells around them. We feel like we just don't feel a sense of safety and ease. And eventually we can start to understand why that is. And we can see that we're worth a lot more than these people were ever willing to give us. And when we know better, we do better. And so I don't want you to feel bad about those romantic encounters, those experiences you had before. What those did was they taught us what we don't want in a relationship. That's where the experience comes in from the universe. Now we're focusing on what we would want and what we do want in a relationship. But in order for us to find that, we have to focus on that healing part. So that's something that we're going to be talking about moving forward. But hopefully that helps. I know it's difficult to deal with, and I don't ever want you to think like you can't come and say that something's up, like you're hurting, things are going on, because this is difficult. This is hard stuff to deal with. So I want you to feel like this is a safe space for you to talk about things, to work through this stuff. And the fact that you're open and you're vulnerable on here and you're letting your story be told, I think is awesome, because that gives a lot of people courage to step up too. I think that that's something that is very, very good of you to be able to do that. And I see someone who really wants to understand things and wants to get better. So I don't have any doubt in my mind that you'll come through the other side of this and be like, I feel so good I went through that. But right now we're going through the part where it is painful. We're cutting connections. We're seeing that life wasn't what we thought it would be. But it doesn't mean we're stupid. It doesn't mean anything like that. And another thing here, something I always want you guys to be aware of here, when we're dealing with the narcissistic abuse, if we're with somebody and they always keep us in a state of ambiguity, or we always feel confused when we're with these people, like we feel like something's wrong with them, but we're not sure exactly what it is, but something feels really off, that's another sign that we could be in a relationship with someone with narcissistic traits. So, yeah. But we learn as we go. We understand things more as we go along in life. Does that make sense, Amber, to you? Because this right here, perfect. This right here, Amber, that you're going through, it doesn't mean that you were stupid, that this happened or anything like that. What it means is that you were hurt, right? And when we're hurt, it's just something that we can move through together. I've been through this, other people have been through this, and you are very, very welcome, Amber. You got this. Okay, Brenda, would you want to ask your question? Okay, let's see. Yeah, Brenda. No, you're good. You're good, Brenda. You're just fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's your turn for your question. Go right ahead and post it. We're good. We're not going to bite your head off over that. Trust me. Okay, give me 1 second, Brenda, and I will be right back. And then we'll go from there. Been having a lot of water. Don't need to tell you what happens when you drink a lot of water. think you know where I'm going with this. Alright, so I'll be right back. You just wait 1 second. Alright, I'm gonna light an incense, and then enough of the nonsense. I'm coming back. See what incense flavors we got. One right there, that right there is sugar cookie. This one smells amazing. As you guys know, it's one of my favorites. Okay. All right, Brenda. So, is it okay if I try connecting psychic? I mean, you did say a psychic question, so I assume it's okay. Okay, so let's do this. So Brenda. Very first thing that comes up, Brenda, is this is going to sound really weird. I think one of my guides is a medical intuitive. If it sounds weird that I'm saying this, that's okay. You can tell me I'm off. Is there something going on with calcium for you? Are you taking a calcium supplement now? I feel like there could be something with calcium, which sounds really weird. But maybe I feel like if you can take a supplement, like a calcium supplement, that might be something that can help. But my guide came through, first thing was calcium. So if that relates to you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. But that was the first thing that came up here. Okay. Has there been anything, Brenda, and feel free to say no, I'm still learning as a psychic, so please feel free to say no. Have you been having medical appointments? Have you been seeing a doctor for anything? If not, that's okay. Please don't look into this like, oh, I need to go see a doctor. But for some reason, that's what I'm being shown. I just don't know if there have been any health problems or anything like that with you, with what you've been going through. Also, are you someone who, because radio came up, so I'm wondering if you're someone who is really into music, who's more of a listener to music. I'm trying to get a read on your energy, and then I can go forward with the advice. And so if I get confirmation, yes or no, then I can keep trying. When I have a connection with you, then I can move forward with that connection. I just want to make sure I'm onto something. No lately. Okay. Okay. That's okay. Let's try this here. A music listener, okay. Okay, you sing too. Okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense that music would be a big part of that. Okay, so let me see what else I can get here and see. So now I'm going to ask this, Brenda. So is there a sense of, let's say, innocence, maybe a sense of maybe being a little naive? I'm curious here because I'm getting a bunch of childlike symbols. To me, this is good, but it could be that we can learn pretty harsh lessons when we are very vulnerable and open to the world, and I feel like you have that kind of spirit or that sense with you. Kind of an innocence is what I would call it. And so I'm curious if that resonates with you, because that's what I'm being shown from Spirit. %. Okay. So then I'm being shown this bird in a cage kind of imagery. That is how people describe you. Okay. Okay. So the bird in a cage analogy, for some reason, the messages are going off in my head a ton. I don't know if you get lyrics stuck in your head on repeat constantly, like over and over again. That's what it's feeling like, and it's feeling very strong. The bird in a cage, though, is something that I'm feeling here. And what a bird in a cage to me represents is that if there is a bird that has been in a cage, it literally will think that flying is something that it can't do. It's never been let out of the cage. It doesn't know how to fly. So right now we're in a period of your life where we're going to be taking off and we're going to be soaring into the sky, so to speak. But there's a tendency here to feel that we would rather follow what other people would say than follow our own hearts. And so I feel like we're looking into coming into our own sense of identity and our own sense of self-expression. Okay? And when we're looking at this, I know there can be fear, and there's a sense of suppression around us. That I feel like there can be a sense of other people not quite getting it. And then I'm getting frustrated now. Okay, and then I'm going to say this. I just saw confetti. Whose birthday? Did we celebrate a birthday recently or an anniversary of some sort? It feels like there was a recent celebration or one that's coming up, but I'm feeling like there's something there. If not, that's okay. Okay, perfect. Your birthday is this month. Okay, so that would explain the confetti that I was seeing. Makes sense. There's a lot here that we're dealing with, and it's very... It's very like... Sorry, I gotta stretch. So we're coming into this situation in life. So right now, Brenda, you probably feel like this is one of the times in your life where you feel more awake, yet probably more uncertain than you've ever felt. You feel like you have energy and you have desire, but you don't know where exactly to put that energy or desire as a possibility. So I kind of describe it like this. Some people, we go through life and we're a light bulb. And the thing with a light bulb is that it lights up the whole room. It's not targeted. It's not this kind of thing. It just lights up the whole room. I'm feeling like now we're starting to be more laser focused and we're trying to figure out what it is we want to do with our lives or how it is we want to live our lives through us, through our own self. And I have a feeling that we are very uncomfortable with speaking our mind. We feel like we could be perceived as too brutal or too honest or too this or too that. This to me is resonating more with a sense of like it just feels like we're trying to live other people's lives for us but not our own. So again, I know you asked a love question. I'll get there. I promise I'll get there. Just making sure we're on the right track here. So let me see what else I can get here. The name Joe or Joseph, maybe John comes up, but like the name Joe or Joseph comes up. And then the date September also or the month September also comes up. Those ones are interesting though. Okay. Okay, well, I'm just going through what I'm feeling here. So I see in my mind's eye, thank you, Brenda, you're very sweet. I see in my mind's eye someone who I feel like we get hit by something. Thank you, Brenda, you're very sweet. I feel like we get hit by something and then we're apologizing for it. I feel like someone hits us with something and we say sorry to that person. So I'm feeling like we need to work on like boundaries, which we talk about all the time on this channel. So we could have been raised in an environment where speaking our mind was dangerous, and because of that we could have some people-pleasing tendencies. This part isn't psychic. This part is not psychic. The rest of that I felt like was more psychic. No, this part is not. This part is just me talking. This is just some advice. But would you say, Brenda, you have like people-pleasing tendencies? Like we tend to want to make other people feel super comfortable first before we think of ourselves. Okay. And as I'm talking about this, I'm not trying to like point fingers at you and say, look at this, look at this. What I'm trying to do is help you to identify what it is we can work on. So I want you to understand that we'll work on this together as we're having this conversation. The boundaries is going to be important because without those boundaries, Brenda, we're going to allow anything to come into our space. And not only will we allow anything to come into our space, we will desperately cling on whatever does. Because we feel like we have to be in this sort of state. We have to be in this clingy state. We have to be in this state because we feel like nothing better will ever come along for us. Once we discard that way of thinking, then it gets easier for us to understand what it is we're worth and all of that. So with that being said, Brenda, do you have... I'm just curious. I feel like I've been talking at you, so I want to understand where you're coming from, what you're feeling, what are you thinking? So on this, okay. Okay, so when we're talking about this, when we're talking about this kind of journey, establishing boundaries, focusing on what it is we could do better with this, the main thing we focus on. Awesome. I'm glad you're relating to it. Perfect. So when we're talking about this, Brenda, we get to this kind of, we learn how to establish boundaries by being gentle with ourselves, because we've tried our whole lives. We've tried to be harsh with ourselves and to tell ourselves we're stupid, we're no good, we're worthless. We've tried doing that and it hasn't gotten us anywhere. It makes us resent the self. And because we resent the self, we have a hard time setting boundaries for ourselves because we resent, right? So when we start looking at taking care of ourselves, then we start seeing our value. When we see our value, we appreciate our sense of self. When we do that, we establish boundaries. We tell people what we will and won't tolerate. That's not being a mean person, that's being direct and that's being forthright. That's a good thing to have. And the right people will want that in a woman or a man. because it shows that you're not playing games. It shows that you know yourself well enough to understand that you want to be in a relationship because you want to. You don't want to be in a relationship because you want to escape into it and then not focus on yourself or growing yourself as a person. A lot of us will use relationships as a form of distracting. We use it as a form of escapism because we're so focused on the partner that we don't have to focus on ourselves anymore. We don't have to grow anymore. We're focused more on the relationship. So that's something that can happen too, is that we lose ourselves in the process of the relationship. Is that making sense so far? Yep, nothing worse than resenting ourselves, absolutely. So generally speaking, again, this is from the advice standpoint, we established a connection. I feel like I know where to go from here. So when we're talking about this, Brenda, I'm going to ask you this. Do you have people in your life? Do you feel... Okay, it makes sense. Do you feel like you were stifled kind of growing up? Was that kind of a difficult thing for us? Like a mentality of women should be seen and not heard kind of a mentality? Because we deal with a lot of people on the channel that go through that kind of situation. I'm just curious how you grew up. I'm wondering where this fits in. Okay. You're from Mexico, okay. So it was a little like that. Okay, I can understand that. So the first, and I talk about this too, I give recommendations to videos that talks about narcissistic abuse, but it also talks about setting boundaries and how to do this with different people. I feel like you're a very innocent and a very sweet person, and I feel like you can still be innocent and sweet. You can still be that person, but we need to be careful who we let in our lives that gets to experience ourselves, because we're very kind, we're very soft, and we're very... I feel like we're a really good person. I don't get a sense of anything bad going on here, but I do feel like there are people that can come into our lives that can take advantage of that. And so when we set boundaries, we are telling the universe what we will and won't tolerate. I can give you some links to the videos. They're just YouTube videos talking about narcissistic abuse, but it also talks about how to set boundaries. It talks about how to do that kind of stuff. And then you can understand from a broader sense. You can understand kind of what's going on. So if you want me to, I can link those down in the chat here, or I can put the name of the people, and then you can just start from wherever. But it's good to know what it looks like, what narcissistic abuse looks like, because a lot of where we're coming from, I do feel is from other people's narcissistic traits kind of being put on us. And so now we could have a sense of low self-esteem, and we could be someone who's a people pleaser. Okay, so I'll do this. These are the ones that I primarily recommend. Sorry, let me do that again. So these, you'll just look them up, and these guys will come up here. Let's see here. These might be hard videos to watch. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be forthright with you, Brenda. These might be difficult for you to watch and to understand what's going on, but it does get easier with time. When we're looking at establishing boundaries, we have to understand why we're establishing boundaries and kind of what's been going on in our life. Because a lot of times the reason we don't establish boundaries is because other people, again, have told us how to be. And when other people tell us how to be, they say, no, you don't get a say in it. I'm going to tell you how to be. And other people try to discredit you. Other people try to discredit you and your experience. If you're living your life, you're having your emotions, and other people are telling you that it's wrong, those are not the people for you. You want people that are going to be supportive and will be uplifting, and this will help you spot those people that will be there for you, but it will also help you spot the people that won't be there for you. And it becomes a lot easier to set boundaries because you're realizing what these people look like. And then eventually, we'll arrive back to that love question. Eventually, you'll find someone in your life that will be an amazing match because you are putting out to the universe things you will and will not tolerate. And the universe will give you what you want, but we have to understand what it is that we want, and we need to see what that is through behaviors and through patterns. And the way we do that is we identify what dysfunction could look like growing up, the things that we went through, what was dysfunctional, so that then we can see what the functional part looks like. So that's kind of what these videos can talk about. What is dysfunction versus function when it comes to that? Perfect. It'll be difficult, but it will be eye-opening, and it's going to be something that can help you to understand yourself, your values, and your sense of just you, right? And I want you to keep doing you. I want you to keep learning. I want you to keep growing, because you're right there. You're right on the precipice of knowing that something needs to change with you, and you're going to be able to change. You're going to be able to do that. Other people may not like you changing. Other people may not understand it, but it's not them. It's not about them. It's about you, and you need to do something for yourself that's good. And to me, I feel like you've been putting other people first your whole life. Now it's time to put you first. And it's not being selfish. It's taking care of yourself. There's a huge, huge difference. And if other people call you selfish, or if other people try to blame you or try to guilt you into something, please realize that that is a ploy. They're trying to suck you back into something. Realize that you have the high ground here. So I just want you to take that as it is. So hopefully that helps, Brenda. Do you have any other questions or anything else you're wondering about? Absolutely, it's time to focus on you. I will say this though, Brenda. There will be men and women that don't appreciate what you're going to do. I still want you to keep going. I still want you to keep learning and to keep loving yourself, because that's a huge part of this journey. Huge, huge part. So you've got this. But if you have any other questions, we can address those, or you're very welcome, Brenda. Very, very welcome. If you could do me another favor, I don't know if you're subscribed to the channel or not, but, well, thank you. I appreciate that. If you could subscribe and like, I would appreciate that even more so. But I feel like I've seen you on here before, but I'm not sure. One second here. And I'm glad you loved the reading, Brenda. I'm so glad. That's what I want to do. Just help people and... Okay. I was just making sure. Thank you very much, Brenda. Thank you very, very much. Okay, Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that too. Does anyone else have a question, or we can just stay around and do story time if no one else has a question. I don't know if you guys are into story time or not, but... Okay. Awesome, Brenda. You take care, okay? Have a good one. Be safe. Take another drink here. Oh. Okay, well, I will be back again. Hold on one second. Go for it, Liz, if you want to do that. Absolutely. And thank you. I know you like to be saved for last, so we can do that. Alright, I'll be right back, you guys. Hold on 1 second. Give me just a minute here. Let's do this one. Okay. All right, Elizabeth, Liz, I'm sorry, Liz. Liz, I got your donation here. So I'll put you on the list, and we'll do yours as the last one here. So thank you again for the donation, Liz. You've always been good with that. Okay, so let me do this here for a second. Okay. Let me move this over here. And let's... Okay. Alright, 1 second. And... let me see something. Okay. Sorry about that. I thought there was something back there that I could look at, but there wasn't. So, let's do this here. Let me move stuff over. And we'll just talk here for a minute. So, Liz, what do you like to do in your free time? Just a way we can just talk here for a minute. Hey Doc, how you doing, buddy? Okay, so you're here in your free time. I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. I'm here in my free time too, so we got something in common, Liz. How's it going, Doc, though? It has been a minute. Hiking is fun. Oh, hiking is fun. Haven't been for a little while, but I do enjoy hiking. For me, it's you got your video games, you got your exercising. I've been getting into exercising more, which is to say, every other day I'm really sore for the whole day, so that's always fun. I like drinking caffeine. You know, that's one of those. It's one of those things. Drawing is another one. I always draw a blank. With this. I'm doing okay. I found a job and I have my own car now. It's a piece, but it drives. I was going to donate and ask a question, but I cannot use Cashapp or PayPal due to me not being 18 yet. Oh, okay, Doc. Let's see. That would be a bit of a predicament. Okay, so Doc, for you, just do a super chat if that works for you. I'm not going to be too much of a hard ass on that, so if you want to, go for it, and then we can address the question here. And you would be in line. You'd be the first one in line right now, Doc. So if you donated, we'd go straight to your question. So Doc, if you donate through Patreon, it would be a monthly subscription that you would be signing up for. I don't know if that's something you want to do. necessarily. I mean, you can cancel the subscription at any time, but I would say there's a $10 tier on Patreon, but that would be $10 a month until you cancel it. I don't know, that one's up to you, but you can totally just do a super chat if you want to, my friend, instead. You're very kind, Doc. Thank you. I'll be posting more stuff on my Patreon too. Trying to figure out how best to post on there and what to post exactly. I feel like just the psychic journey would be something to post about. Other people going through the psychic journey, other people going through that. And then discounts to the classes that I'll be offering eventually. Still trying to figure that part out too. But there will be discounts to the classes through Patreon as well. I'm expecting we'll have an interesting question, Doc. You always bring the interesting questions. Oh. Let's look here, Doc. Yes, it did. Awesome. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, we can do this. Let me go here. Yeah, I don't think Patreon has you verify your age, but that's so weird that you can't do it on, you can't do Cashapp or PayPal until you're 18. I guess I signed up for PayPal when I was super young, like, I want to say like 15 or 16. So I didn't know there was an age limit, or I didn't know there was an age limit. But your donation went through beautifully, my friend. So you go ahead. I'm sure you're typing your question. me see here. All right, let's look at that, my friend. We'll see what we can get here. Okay. When do you... Oh. You know for a fact you don't want to have more than one relationship. I hear you. So you're someone who would be the very monogamous type. Kind of stick with one person. I can understand that. I can understand that. That's how it was for me. That's definitely how it was for me. My very first adult relationship, I've been with that person for 13 years. So... Okay. So here's the interesting thing, right? So you say I want to find the one and just be done with it and spend my life with her, which I'm not sure will happen in the way I want it to, and was hoping for some guidance on that. A lot of times, Doc, what can happen is that we don't get to control it. That's not something we get to do. I understand we have a way we would want it to go, but for me, the way I met my partner, it was both very mundane but very magical at the same time. Meaning that it was an ordinary kind of day, but there was a little bonus on top of that day. And I'm turning 18 in 3 months, and I've never initiated a relationship due to the fact of never feeling that spark I'm looking for. Okay, so you're someone who would be, what is it called? You're someone who could only be in an intimate relationship with somebody else, I would assume, after you have gotten to know them for a while. So you want to look for that kind of connection so that you can feel safe, because you want to have someone who's there for the long haul. That's what I'm feeling is going on here. There could also be some resistances, Doc, and I'm wondering, we've talked about it before, but I'm wondering if maybe we're thinking this way with relationships because other things have happened when we were younger. Have we gone through abandonment? Have we gone through different kinds of things when we were younger? And we don't want to relive that kind of wound? Just curious, I'm throwing that out there. I can relate with what you're saying so far, though. Making a lot of sense. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here. Okay. So here's something that can happen, Doc, right? As we're searching, and this is another thing too, is that you're young. You're apparently 17. I didn't know that before. That you were that young. I knew you were young, but now I'm understanding a little bit more. You still have a lot of your life ahead of you. You probably don't want to hear that. I feel like an old man compared. I'm 32, so I'll give you some advice here, and we'll look into your question too. But I'm just going to do some advice, and then we'll look a little more into it. Okay? So, when it comes to a relationship, especially the one and done kind of relationship that you're referring to, the reason why we're not finding that spark could be that maybe our expectations are set way, way, way too high, just as a possibility. That could be something where we're looking for the one that fits this, all these criteria. There's an issue with that, though. We're generally, when we're looking for someone and we have high expectations, we're looking for someone that will never be challenged with and will be comfortable with always. In a real partner, right? In a real partner or a real relationship, you're going to want to have that partner at some point. They're going to press your buttons and they're going to make you feel uncomfortable, because then you'll realize the areas in which you need to grow. So we need to focus on that too. In a lot of ways, my partner is the exact opposite of me, and that makes it so that growing is a necessity. It's something I have to do to keep up in the relationship. Is it easy? No. There's a lot of times where it's really hard, but it brings out the best in me, and in turn, I hold her up to a higher caliber as well. And we have that sense there. But you don't want to find someone who is identical to you, necessarily. We want to find people that are different and that can bring us different experiences and growth opportunities. And like I said, the expectation of finding that one and done relationship, when we do that, we're limiting ourselves to that one connection. And I understand that's what we want, but there can also be other connections that could be there, and we could be limiting our range or our point of view so much so that we're making it almost impossible for someone to come in that would be a good match that we could learn from. Now, I've only had one relationship in my adult life. So when I say this, of course it's coming from a perspective where I haven't had multiple partners, but sometimes we learn what we do and we don't want through multiple partners. Until we've been in those kinds of situations, we don't necessarily understand what it is we do or don't want in a relationship. For instance, maybe we really think we want kids, or maybe we really think we don't. We get in a relationship, we figure things out, we understand things. A partner can hurt us because we're vulnerable, absolutely. But they can also teach us things about ourselves that we would never see. And something that I thought was a very powerful thing that I've heard before is that a stranger could look at you, a stranger off the street could look at you and tell you more about yourself in 15 minutes than you would figure out in 30 years. Because they're looking at you in an unbiased way. We are very biased in the way we look at ourselves. So when it comes to finding a partner, it makes it kind of difficult, right? And so we need to accept and understand that it kind of is this game here where we're trying to find the one and we're hoping that it happens, but if we limit our point of view, it makes it so that it's a lot harder to find somebody. And I'm not saying go with the first person you meet or the first person, but you're looking for that spark, you're looking for that thing, and I will tell you right now, there's a saying in the Buddhist religion, I think it's Buddhism, I'm not sure, could be Hindu, again, not sure, but I'll say this. Thank you, Doc, I appreciate that. When it comes to finding the one, they talk about it like this. They say a lot of people think finding the one, your heart will race and it will beat and it'll make it so that the whole world, you're like floating, you're floating on the wind kind of a feeling. But in truth, when you find the one, you'll feel a sense of calm that comes over you. That spark is just kind of meant to, I feel like it, there's infatuation, there's stuff there, but I feel like it should be a quiet sense of things. That spark that we're looking for necessarily. And if we're looking to activate it in a certain way, if we're looking to do this in a certain way when we haven't had the experience of having it happen in the first place, but yet we're trying to guide how it will happen, we're holding on too much to control. And when we do that, we're telling the universe, I know better than you do. I know better than you do on what I need, but you don't. And I'm not saying don't have expectations, don't have that sense of, let me put it this way. I think it's honorable that you want to have someone in your life and you want to just have that one person, you want to enter into a union and you want to have someone you would grow old with, you would die with, that kind of mentality. I think that's amazing. But I also feel like we're putting way too much importance on this relationship. When we say one and done, we're immediately making it into this grand journey. And as soon as we start doing that, a lot of doubt and a lot of things come in. You're still, and I know you hear this probably all the time, you're still very young. You're still very young and you're still figuring yourself out. I've had friends that I was friends with in high school, and I'm no longer friends with those people. A lot of them, we just separated, we grew apart. We feel like we think we know who we are when we're in our teens or in our 20s. I'm still figuring out who I am in my 30s. I've had a partner that's been there for me that has not been without its struggles. That has not been an easy process. It's been a beautiful process, but it's been difficult. And the way we find these people in our lives is just to be open to the chance of connecting. Not to be guiding or manipulating the connection, but to be open to the possibility of there being a connection. And the reason I bring up being young, the reason I say that isn't to say, now shut up because you're young and you're dumb. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that we don't know what we want at this age. We think we do. We think we do. I know I thought I did. But as we get older, we start to understand ourselves more. We start to enter that place. Kind of like we start resonating, we start understanding our soul more, and because of that we can attract the people we're looking for. But so far, Doc, is any of that making sense? I have to take another drink. Hold on. Okay. So, and I want us to look at it like this too, Doc. I want us to look at it like this. Okay, so follow me on this. Are we entering a relationship because we feel like the other person will complete us? Or are we entering a relationship so that this person can enrich our lives? When we've completed ourselves, when we understand ourselves, when we understand what we want out of life, and we choose to have a partner because we want to have a partner, not because we need to, but because we want to have a partner. We want to have someone to share our lives with. That's something we can do. A lot of times, and I talk about this, people use relationships or focusing on attracting another person as a way to escape their own kind of mental anxieties and things that are going on with them. They think having another person in their life will fix everything. It won't. It just makes it a little difficult because now there's two of you. So it's important to focus on fixing what we can now and understanding ourselves now so that we can attract the right person to us. But if it seems like you're not meeting the person yet, you still have a lot of growing. There's still a lot of time left for you. For me, what I'm feeling like more than anything is between 19 and 21 is gonna be where I feel like you're gonna meet somebody. Someone significant. Let me put it that way. Someone significant between 18 and 21. That's kind of a time frame. I understand that's kind of a time frame. But that was also the same time I met my partner. I was 19 when I met my partner. And so, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that is... And it was hard in the relationship at first. And I'm just saying this, my friend, so that I can help you. I can help you in this. It was hard in the relationship at first because I was deeply injured as a person. I'm still recovering from that. I'm still trying to heal from my traumas and things that have happened with me. And she was too. She was in a healing space as well. And so we had to get to know each other many, many times, over and over and over again, because we were working through layers and layers of trauma and trying to understand things differently and trying to understand ourselves and the other person differently. Hey, Angelo. But primarily, that's what we're talking about. So, let's think here. I do, like I said, between 19 and 21. I feel like the person is going to be the first thing that comes up is a person that has kind of a green color. And when I say green, I feel like the aura of the person, that means they're more heart-based. So it's going to be someone who's kind and caring. I do feel like you're going to help this person not be afraid of things. There's going to be some fear with this person. Because generally speaking, if we've been going through something, a partner that we attract into our lives that's going to match our energy can also be going through something. And so I feel like it's going to be kind of a union and helping each other to understand the world better. But I do feel like there's going to be some fun too, but it's going to be a learning thing. You want to have someone that you learn with, someone that you grow with. And that is a relationship that is amazing, but it is also something that has its ups and downs. And a true partner will challenge us to better ourselves. We should never be in a relationship where we should stay the same. There's three people, or there's three parties in a relationship. There's you, there's the other person, and there's the relationship itself. If you're improving yourself and you're growing, the other person is improving themselves and they're growing, then the third part, the relationship, kind of takes care of itself. Because you're growing, you're learning. So what I'm going to say right now, Doc, is to be open to possibilities. Not to be as rigid because we feel like we can guide it. I feel like if we're kind of rigid with it, we're going to block off a lot of potential. We're going to block off a lot of energy. And a lot of times, too, when we have high expectations, Doc, what we're doing is we're sabotaging ourselves. Because when we have high expectations, we're saying, I'm only going to like this person if they have this, and this, okay? And it's not going to work out. And then we keep sabotaging ourselves and we keep raising our expectations, and people can never meet those expectations. And sometimes it's a few expectations, sometimes it's a whole, list. I remember when I was looking for a partner, it was ridiculous how long my expectations were. So I'm coming from my point of view. But that's a form of self-sabotage, in a way. Having expectations on what we want to happen, I can understand that to an extent. Right now, Angela, I'm just talking to Doc. So I'm not doing mediumship right now, just talking to Doc about his situation with relationships here. But it's making sense then, Doc? You're understanding? You're picking up what I'm putting down, my friend? Hey, buddy. Oh, you got a sneeze? You are being a good boy. Well? Well. Well. And a lot of times, Doc, making a lot of sense. Okay, so I'll go on a little bit more here. A lot of times we are, just going to see here. You tell him, buddy. You tell them all. Okay, so we're going to be learning some lessons here, Doc, that I feel like we need to talk about. So the first thing is that we as people deserve to be loved no matter what our accomplishments or title is. So we're going to be coming from a place of conditional love, and we're going to be stepping into a place of unconditional love. Unconditional love is the loving of a person regardless of what it is they can do for you, or what benefit you can gain from that. A lot of us have grown up in a situation where we have grown up through conditional love, where if we get straight A's, we are loved. If we don't make a fuss, we're loved. If we do this, or this, we're loved. But love can be withheld from us. That's conditional love, is that the love can be withheld. Now, unconditional love is a person staying with you, being with you, even when you don't have anything, even when you don't have a penny to your name, even when you're just whatever. That's the unconditional love that we're going to be talking about. A lot of us, when we enter those kinds of relationships, some of us can feel like it's not worth it. Some of us can feel like we're bored with the relationship. Some of us can feel like it's this, or this. But what's really going on is that the person is a normal, functional person, and we are attracted to the drama of kind of the relationships we've had before. So if the person isn't exciting us, we view that as boring. We view that as lame. We don't want to be with them because they're too safe. You know, they're not a dramatic person. They're not a gossiper behind people's backs. So it's that kind of energy. Okay, perfect. So that's something I feel like you'll be learning, you'll be understanding as you get older, is that there's unconditional love, there's conditional love, and differentiating between the two. That being said, like I've said many, many times before, we should not stop growing in a relationship. If someone in a relationship turns to their partner and they say, you've changed, you look at them and you say, hell yeah, I have. That's the whole point of living, is that we change and we grow. We shouldn't stay the same. I don't want to stay the same as I was from high school. That was scary me. I didn't like that version of me. You know, I didn't want to stay that way, so I didn't. But it takes self-assessment and learning, and honestly, my partner's brought a lot of that to me, so that's something I can say that was difficult, but was very, very worth it. So that's something we could be learning moving forward, Doc, is unconditional love versus conditional love. Is it making sense so far? Okay. So during this time, Doc, I want us to focus right now, the primary part, I want us to focus on how we see the world. We're gonna be kind of. You're good, Doc. I'm sorry it's about 30 seconds behind. If you respond late, that's fine. If you respond at all, you know what I mean? It's up to you on how you respond. But it can be a minute late, it can be 30 seconds late, whatever. I'm here for you, so we'll talk. I want you to focus now, if you want, these are suggestions, on how we see the world, on how we interpret the world. Is the world a scary place? Is it a dangerous place? Is the world a wondrous place? Is it an exciting place? How is it that we see the world? From there, we can sort of see the areas we can work on. From there, we can sort of see what's going on with us. It's just, you know, it takes time and it takes knowing the self to understand this part of the journey, to understand this part of life. And it's okay if the world is a scary place. And it's okay if it's not. The main point is that how we're seeing reality is going to be our best judge on kind of where we need to grow and what we need to understand. There you go. Perfect. The world is what you make it. The world is what you want it to be. So that's good. That's good. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Doc. And hopefully that makes sense. This will be uploaded, you know, shortly after I end the stream. And you can go back and look at this if you want to. But if the world I see isn't what I like or what makes me feel calm or relaxed, I will change my perception. Good. That's a good way to view it. That's a good way to view it. And sometimes we can't do that. I'd like to think I'm that way too. Sometimes I'm not. I'm learning, I'm growing, so when we have moments where things are hard, that's normal too. But I understand where you're coming from, and being adaptable is perfect. That's what we want to do. We want to be adaptable. We want to be able to see things how they really are. But yeah, so hopefully, Doc, that helped to answer your question. I'm gonna take another drink here. Hold on. You're welcome, my friend. You're very, very welcome. It's good to see you again. I was wondering what happened. Not in like a bad way, but just in like a... When I talk with you guys, I'm curious what's going on. But, as is life, right? We each go up and down. We have our ebbs and flows, and so that's how it is. Okay, is anyone else wanting to go here? Angela, do you have a question, or... does anyone else have a question? Because you would be right up next if you have a question. And thank you again for the support on Patreon, Doc. If you need to stop at any point, please feel free to do so. You don't have to message me and say I'm going to stop or anything. If you feel like you can do that, I appreciate it. But if you can't, still appreciate it. You're good, okay, my friend? Perfect. I'm glad you got a full-time job. I'm glad things are going well. You're making moves, which is really good. You're making some good moves. That's awesome, my friend. Okay. So, let's see, if we're not... if you guys are ready for another question, whoever's watching, we can do that. If not, we can just do some story time here. We can just do some talking. Primarily, the one thing I want to mention, more than anything else, is going to be focusing on how we can go from a kind of like a trauma viewpoint into developing psychic ability. That's sort of where I feel the channel is heading. So I feel like it's best to embrace that, because a lot of us have been through different events growing up, and it's made it so that I do feel like we all have psychic ability, but especially people that have been through difficult events in their life, traumatic events. We definitely have more psychic ability than I feel like others do, as kind of like a potentiality of psychic ability. Not like we're better than them, but it's sort of like I feel like we were deeply traumatized or hurt because we are sensitive. And because we are sensitive, that's made us so that we have more of an ability to feel, an ability to sense. And the best things we can do as psychics or mediums is to be very sensitive to the world and information. So sensitive, in fact, that anything can kind of get under your skin. It's a double-edged sword, but the more sensitive we can be, the more vulnerable we can be, the better we can be as psychics or as mediums. But it's directly tied It's directly tied to our emotional sense, how well we know ourselves emotionally, how well we let ourselves express things emotionally. And likewise with when we're working with spirits. A spirit's going to want to work with us more if we're emotionally open and can give their point of view through a story. And the more we know ourselves, the more we can understand where spirit could be coming from in certain situations. So it feels like being sensitive, being an open person, it almost feels wrong, or it feels like we're doing something wrong. We're not. But we've been told that we are, and we need to kind of change that narrative so that we can develop these psychic abilities. Because I do feel that it's time to sort of reclaim that. All of us are psychic. All of us have mediumistic abilities, I personally believe. But most of us are not ready or able to get into that, to kind of enter that space. So that's what I want to do on this channel, is help people enter that space, to understand things in that way. And all of it takes time. All of it takes a sense of just allowing things to happen. If I try to force my mediumship or my psychic abilities, the only thing I'll possibly do is shit myself. Like, nothing else is going to come of that. But if I let things come to me and I let things flow, then the psychic ability comes. And in my opinion, when we can get into psychic ability in the flow state, I feel like when we live life that way too, we're going to allow things to come into our perception, right? Because there's all of that kind of information coming in for us. So it's all about how we are perceiving the world, our perception, absolutely. How we perceive ourselves, right? And allowing things to happen. It was so weird today. I kept thinking of my friend's name, and within the next few seconds I got a call or a text from said person. It happened at least 5 times. It only happened with that person, though. That's cool, though. That's cool, Doc. At least that I've realized. There's probably been a lot more coincidences, too, but it sounds like you're coming into that psychic ability that we're talking about. That's one of the ways it can present itself. So it sort of just entered your mind, right? Like you knew something was going to happen, or you knew that, or you just thought of them out of the blue. That could be kind of a claircognizance sort of thing, or it could be a clairsentience, where we're feeling into something, right? And when we're talking about that, it's sort of like when they start thinking of us or messaging us, we start thinking of them. If you imagine everything being connected through this incredibly complex spider web, right? What they're doing is they're showing you, like you're experiencing one connection to the person through this complex spider web, and it sort of vibrates a little bit, and the connection between you two becomes something that's like resonating, and so you have a thought, they do too. There's messaging here. There's something going on. And what's interesting with it, because it wasn't. Exactly, it just came out of nowhere. It almost didn't feel like it was coming from my mind. So that's another thing when we're talking about psychic ability, is when it just comes into your head and it's fully formed, it's already a fully formed thought, and you didn't have to go from A to Z to make it a fully formed thought. That's a psychic impression. So if I'm doing a reading for somebody and I see something in front of me with my eyes closed or whatever, I see something or I get an impression and it's just there and I didn't think of it, I know that's a psychic impression. Psychic impressions are not thoughts. They aren't. There's something completely different that sort of arrive in your head. They're not made up. They're not right there. They just sort of arrive. They sort of pop in, would be the way I would describe it. And they're fully formed when they pop in. Unlike us, like if I told you right now to think of an elaborate landscape, it would take your mind a little bit of time to come up with it, and you'd have to go through the details. But spirit or psychic work can just come through to you instantly, and you understand that. And so it's something that is a very helpful tool. It's something that we get when we're relaxed. And I would say, Doc, that you were probably in a relaxed, at least a somewhat relaxed state when you received these kinds of impressions. At least somewhat. Like, it's not, you can be stressed and have it happen too, but I feel, honestly, it flows a lot better when we're more relaxed. It flows a lot better. I was in a relaxed state. I was just hanging out, eating food. Perfect. Perfect. So that's another thing too, is that you weren't expecting to receive information or anything. You were allowing yourself to kind of be in an empty in an empty state of mind in a way. Like when we eat food, we can zone out sometimes, and so I feel like that's a time where things can happen because we're not looking for information; it just happens. And then there was this that happened with it. When we try to force a psychic connection, you're going to find that it's a lot like holding on to soap. The harder you squeeze, the more it's going to slip out of your hands. But that's good. It sounds like you're having absolutely. I want you to think of it like this, though. So the reason I talk about trauma and coming into these abilities is because psychic ability is the adult imagination. When we're a child and we have our imagination, it's more like fantasy and we're creating these worlds. When we're an adult, our imagination is tied to our psychic ability. Imagination, emotion, vulnerability, curiosity, those are and love. Those are the things that help us with our psychic ability. But the imagination is super important. I want you to imagine, okay, go figure. I want you to imagine that the psychic ability is like a blank canvas, okay? We just allow ourselves to enter this blank state. And when we allow ourselves to enter this blank canvas kind of area, this space, we're allowing spirit or psychic ability to paint on that canvas whatever they want. We're holding the space for them to give us an image or for them to give us an impression. We're not guiding the image, we're not guiding the impression, we're not telling them how to do it or telling the psychic ability what to do. We're allowing ourselves to be receptive. We're just giving them the materials, which is our imagination. Does that make sense so far, Doc? It gets stronger over time too, Doc, like you're saying, but it depends on the viewpoint and the mentality we have going into this. So if we're open to things, if we're open to change, if we're open to new experiences, if we're just open, right? If we're adaptable, we're open, psychic ability comes to us. When we've closed off and we think we know it all and we're in that state of mind, psychic ability leaves us. Psychic ability or mediumistic abilities come from having a curiosity about the universe. When we have a curiosity about the universe, it opens up those doors, especially when we're communicating with spirits, because when we're curious about how a spirit died, when we're curious about a spirit's story, that's us showing that spirit that we care, that we're interested, and that's the way that we can establish a connection. So when I'm connecting psychically, being curious helps, or having the intention of wanting to know what's going on, wanting to help a person, is going to help us. But therein lies the catch-22. If you do this for a living, as a professional psychic or medium, still haven't figured out what that means, but eventually we'll get there. If you do this for a living, it's kind of interesting that you have to enter a flow state. Paradoxically, you have to enter the flow state to get information, but you can't want information before you enter the flow state because then that blocks the flow. So you have to allow yourself to supersede anything else and just say that you want to give answers, you want to be of service, you want to help people as much as you can. And as psychics and as mediums, we have to work through biases as well. That's something that's huge to work through, is biases. Am I just jabbering on and on? Is what I'm saying making sense? Because when I mention biases, I want to make sure you guys are following so far. So the next thing I'll talk about, like I've been saying, we're focusing on biases. Okay, a bias is like a presumption to know something to be true when in fact it isn't really true. It's just a bias. It's a perception that is skewed with our own sense of like feeling like it's right. So the best way I would describe this is, I use this analogy a lot. And that'll come in time. That'll come in time, Doc. It takes... And she has to articulate what they're saying or trying to tell me. That will come in time where you can speak and you can communicate and understand what's going on. A lot of it is just time-based. In this reality, time exists. We're mortal. There's time, there's growth, there's experience. In the spirit world, from what I understand, time doesn't exist. And so they can kind of hang around for as long as they want and just talk and have that kind of be something that happens. But when we're talking about biases, right, I want to talk about this. If we have a bias that spiders are bad, or we have a bias that the color red is evil, or we have a bias, like there's all these different biases that we can have. As soon as we lock ourselves into a way of thinking about an animal, a color, a number, whatever it happens to be, we're missing the point and we're not going to get psychic impressions as strong as we could. We have to work through our biases. Spiders, I don't like them. I'm not crazy about them, but the symbology of them is interesting. The snake is the same thing. Not my favorite animal. Symbology is incredibly interesting. So it's seeing through these kinds of things. And like I said, the color red isn't an angry color, it is a color. There's different ways of perceiving the world. Some psychics will tell you that these mean bad things because they've had experiences where they've had bad experiences with those things. But other people might like the color red, or they might love snakes, or they might love spiders. And so it's important to work through these kind of symbols that we have when we're developing our psychic lexicon or our language of psychic ability. It comes in time, right? I've had... Hey, Kathleen. Right now, no. I'm just talking to Doc right now. If you want to do a reading, we can do that. So you would be the next one in line, Kathleen, if that's what you want to do. There's a few good books on the topic too. Doc, are you into reading? That reminds me of a funny joke. The person, I think it's a meme or something, but the person says, "I thought you said you were interesting," and the other person says, "No, I told you I was into resting." It's just a funny joke. My sense of humor is very dad, if you guys haven't noticed. I have fur babies, but no actual babies. All right. And thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate that. Okay, so we have these books right here. Doc, again, you guys can take these books as recommendations to learn about psychic and mediumship ability and developing it, or you can just say, that's interesting. Either way, I won't get my feelings hurt. But these books right here are the ones. There's a few more. I've got a few books here. Let's just do these ones. You get distracted easily. Okay, well then I'll just show you these. Alright, so write these down, Doc. I understand we can get distracted, right? Write these down so that you have them as something you can... Because when I was focusing on my journey, I had to kind of go through things. First off, I didn't believe any of this was real. Did not believe it was real. And then I slowly learned over the course of like 10 years that I was able to do this. But it took me a long time and I was very skeptical. Very, very skeptical. And so to have books or information that can guide us, where we can sort of leave our skepticism at the door a little bit, that's going to help us. So we have this book here, You Are Psychic, The Art of Clairvoyant Reading and Healing, by Deborah Lynn Katz. Okay, You Are Psychic, The Art of Clairvoyant Reading and Healing, Deborah Lynn Katz. And she talks about, and this is very true, very, very true, when we're talking about psychic readings, as soon as we focus on someone's story and we start reading them, we're actually giving them healing energy because we're validating their story and their experience. So psychic ability is like storytelling 2.0. We always wonder if we could live in another person's shoes, what that would be like. Psychic ability, in my opinion, is the closest we're going to get to that. The trance mediumship and physical mediumship, that's another story, but when we're talking about this and experiencing someone else's story, that's what psychic ability can do for us. Okay? So we have that book. That is primarily focusing on psychic ability. So psychic ability is the background of an image. If we're talking about photography, let's have psychic ability be that we're reading the landscape or the background. It's a static image. It's just stationary. There's no movement. You're reading someone's aura. Right? Mediumship is different. Mediumship is the person that is in the foreground. Okay? And for mediumship, we have this. Mediumship Mastery, The Mechanics of Receiving Spirit Communication by Stephen A. Herman. Okay? I actually did a mediumship reading with this guy myself. I went onto his site, I booked a reading, and he was really good. He was really good, and he was spot on with a lot of the stuff he said. And he helped me to understand, because his book was so good, I wanted to reach out and see if he was actually, and he was legit because the book was legit. So there's that. And he was awesome. And yeah, so does anyone have any questions on these books or anything like that? Let me see something here. Okay. Someone having coffee? Thought I smelled coffee there for a second. Smells good. I love cinnamon coffee. That's my favorite. But anyway. We're never, and I want to state this too, we're never masters in psychic ability or in mediumship. We're never masters. We're always students. But at a certain point, we can start teaching others. You're very welcome, Doc. I just want to make sure you get the information. These books helped me tremendously. Tremendously. So, if you feel like you can, I'd say go for it. Awesome, Kathleen. Thank you. Let me see here. Thank you very much, Kathleen. Okay, so I'm going to put these books back. And then, Kathleen, if you want to type your message out, I can address it for you. Thanks again for helping to support the channel. I take it that's one of the characters in the game, right, Toto? Fun girl. Is there also a fun guy? Because that would be amazing. You would like guidance with your relationship with Rick. Okay. So let's do this here. All right. All right, Kathleen, could I tune in psychically? If I'm not able, I'm still learning as a psychic, as a medium. So if I'm not able to get anything psychically, we'll just go to the cards. But would you be okay with me tuning in psychically? If not, we can just use the cards. So don't feel like there's pressure to say yes. Okay. Hopefully you're having fun, Toto. Okay. Alright, let's try this here. Alright, Kathleen, let's try this then. So, I'm going to write your name down here. Let me see what I can get here, so give me just a second. Not that you haven't been patient enough already, thank you so much. I'm just gonna see what I can get. So, again, I'm just saying, I am still learning. So, the first thing I see is a popped balloon, and I'm wondering if this is expectations towards marriage, or if this is expectations towards popping the question, how long have you guys been together? I'm curious with this connection, what's been going on here. The number 3 comes up. I'm curious if that relates to anything. 3 months, 3 years. Again, because the popped balloon, and feel free to say no, it doesn't resonate. Please feel free. It's the only way I can learn with this kind of stuff. Wow, 2014. Okay. Okay, so then it has been a minute. The popped balloon then to me would be interesting because this is, first off, I felt a connection with my heart. So are you guys talking to each other? Has there been a separation? Are you guys still in a relationship together? Because my heart's hurting here, and that to me feels like there's been a strain in the relationship. So there's been something that's been happening here. Possibly, well, I'm just going to see what else I get here. So hold on. The popped balloon is not off. Okay, okay. So, separation. Alright, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, did the separation happen from you asking normal things of him and him not being able to do it? Does he have avoidant tendencies? Is that what's going on here? Or, because there's smoke, I see smoke, and I'm wondering if there's some passive aggressiveness going on here too. And it's very air-based. The pop balloon, the smoke. I'm wondering if there's Libra and Aquarius. I'm wondering if he's an air sign, or if you're an air sign. I'm curious here because it's a very light-based reading, and there's some air coming in, so I'm curious what that could mean. Taurus. Okay. What about the passive aggressiveness? Is that something? He is a Taurus. Okay. Okay. I figured that's what you meant. That makes sense. Okay. He's inconsistent. Okay. Sort of like an unbalanced earth sign kind of energy here. So he has all of the tendencies to be stubborn, but not for the right reasons. Just stubborn to be stubborn is what I would feel, or what I could say. Okay. Give me a little bit more time here and let me see what else I can get. Thank you, Kathleen, for letting me continue to do this. I appreciate this. Okay. Okay. So one of the things I'm seeing here, Kathleen, is I'm seeing bandages. So I'm feeling like we've tried working through the same kind of situation before. Is this the first time you guys have separated, or has this happened before? Because I'm feeling like it's a bandaged situation, so it feels like things have happened before. Well, we'll see what we can do for you, Kathleen, okay? And thank you for... Gratitude helps a lot with this. Let's see here. This is the most dramatic. Makes sense. Makes sense. The energy here feels like... I feel like when you try to connect with this person or talk about what's going on, they just outright refuse not to hear your side. It's kind of like, this is how I'm feeling, please listen to me, but I feel like when it comes to you expressing yourself, there wouldn't be as much of a tendency to listen. But I feel like you're someone who listens. You're someone who cares. And you've tried to see it from their point of view, but I don't feel like they've tried to see it from your point of view. And that can be aggravating. That can be immensely frustrating. Am I correct in feeling into that? And then I'm going to say this here because I'm curious. Is there Okay. So one of the things that came up, and you can tell me again if this is something that relates or not. So I had the words little one and teddy bear come up. Have you guys had kids together? Because I'm curious why little one would come up. Is there a child or a pet? I was seeing a teddy bear. To me, that could be a little girl or maybe a little boy, but it feels like there's something else in the situation that's connecting you two besides just the relationship. Could be a pet, could be children. No kids. Okay. The little one came up, and so I was curious what that was referring to. But if there's no kids, completely understand that. So let's look some more here. Hmm. Let's circle that one for now. If it's not making sense, it's not making sense. But it might be something that makes sense a little bit later. You share an activity. Okay. Does it have to do with stuffed animals? Or with something like that? Or with fabric? Or with... The activity is interesting. The little one part. Hobby and interest. Okay. Oh. No, sanctioned bridge. Okay. Okay, so there's an activity. Hmm. No kids, okay. Alright, I understand, no kids. I was just circling that as an option here, so I'll have that be, in my psychic language, I'll have that be something like a shared hobby. The little one reference or the teddy bear reference. So, again, still learning. Okay, so... let's try it. Let's go a little bit deeper here and see what else I can get. Okay, so Kathleen, first thing I get, one of the things I get is a man with he has a hand puppet, like a sock puppet. To me, this is immature, selfish, and not willing to change. To a fault. I feel like this person would literally not change because someone asked them to. Or the person was planning on doing something, and if you asked them to do that thing, they could get upset about it, even though they were already going to do it. It feels like that he's stubborn. I mean, there's reasons to be stubborn, and it feels like this person just kind of gets stuck in being stubborn and in not wanting to hear things, especially when they're in that state of mind. And this is putting you in a situation where you come on here, you talk to me, you're wondering what to do. And honestly, Kathleen, in this situation, the only thing you can do is... I mean, I would lay it out on the table because you're not feeling appreciated. You're not feeling like this relationship is going anywhere. And it feels like this person's wasting your time. There's a connection here. I don't doubt there's a connection, but there's also a part of you that this could be a connection that's more of a traumatic connection with this person. Because I feel like you're not getting that recognition or the appreciation you deserve. And it just doesn't feel like you should have to try this hard in a relationship where someone else is not wanting to see you for who you are, but yet you've bent over backwards for this person trying to help them or trying to understand them. Is that making sense? Hopefully that's making sense. So Kathleen, you feel, when I'm feeling your energy, you feel smart and you feel like a grounded person. I personally feel like the reason you came to me is because you've exhausted other options. And that to me says that you're looking for an answer to something I feel like you already know the answer to. This connection to me feels like something that I just feel like you shouldn't have to put up with this. A relationship should be two people evolving together and the relationship grows. You shouldn't have to do 99% of the work. Well, let's do that. Let's look at the outcome. Instead of me talking, let's look at the cards, okay? Okay. And I feel like Kathleen, when he does 1% of the work, if you don't applaud him for it, he probably gets upset. And yet you're doing 99% all the time. I get a sense of a man baby here, and not... Anyway. Maybe I'm being too harsh, Kathleen. I'm sorry if it's coming across too harsh. I just care about the people that come on here, and I want you guys to do that. Thank you, Yale. I'll address your question here in just a second. Hold on. Let's see here. Let's do this, and let's do... Okay. So, Yale, we'll address your question. Right now I'm reading Kathleen, and then you're next up on my list, okay? So I'll just ask you to be a little bit more patient here, and I will appreciate that very much, but thank you for the donation. Okay, so... You take care too, Doc. Okay, so let's look at the outcome of this situation, Kathleen. Okay, Kathleen, so I get man holding a heart in reverse. And I'll read these to you the way I'm getting them. The thinking man. And then deceit. So I have a feeling, Kathleen, that I don't feel like it's going to end well with this person because it feels like this person has an invitation to come in whenever they want, and when they leave, they're the ones in charge and they're waiting for you to apologize. They're waiting for you to make the move so that they can come back into your life and furthermore treat you not in the way that a real man should treat you, okay? The deceit, the thinking man here, I'm feeling like it's just going to get more and more dramatic as time goes on, because what you're going to realize is you're going to say, you're realizing what you're worth more and more. That's why this was a dramatic situation, is you were realizing what you are worth. And I feel like when we're realizing what we're worth, the other person isn't going to quite understand that. I don't feel like this person's going to see your point of view in this. So man holding a heart in reverse, the thinking man, and deceit. It feels like the person's going to be waiting for you to let me put it this way, like calm down or get over it or whatever it would happen to be. But I get a sense that you know what you want. And you're not wanting to settle for anything less, and I feel like that's why this happened. Is that correct to you? Because the way the cards are coming out, that's the way I would read this. I do get these cards, though, coming up. You're welcome. I do feel like these will come up for you, though. We have Angel of Balance and Adjacent Possibilities. So, okay, Kathleen, thank you. You can look at my website, too. I offer readings on the website. So you can look at that. But thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on, and thank you. And if you could like and subscribe on the video too. I don't know if you're already subscribed or not, but that could help out a ton. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Kathleen. Thank you for letting me practice too. I appreciate that more than anything. Awesome, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it, my friend. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick, and then when I come back, I'm on to Yale's question. Are you there? Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Yale? I don't know how to say it, so but I will be right back, so just hold tight for a second here. Okay, Yale, Yale, are you there? I just want to make sure that you're here. Okay, well, we'll wait here for a minute. I'll be waiting for her to come back. In the meantime, I just want to make sure they're here when I give them the reading. Well, I can do this. Okay. So we'll go like this. I'll just hold this up for a second here, and we'll see if she comes back. If not, I can just do the reading through this and have this be a timestamp so that when they're scrubbing through the video, they can see where their question is being answered. Okay. So, Yale, or however you say your name, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Let's see what we can find out here. I'll be using the cards to talk about this, and we'll go from there, okay? I do prefer Cashapp and PayPal in the future, okay? Just because if for some reason I'm not able to get a reading for you, I can give you a refund. I cannot give you a refund through Super Chat at all. I have no idea how to do that. I don't think it's possible. I appreciate the donation. It's awesome. But in the future, Cashapp and PayPal, please. I would appreciate that even more. So with that going on, let's move on to your reading here. So let me shuffle the cards. Okay. Let's do... So you said, hello, I would like to know what's the reason why Idem, ex-husband and father of my kids, was always upset and angry with me because it affects our kids. So I really need to find a way to solve this. Thanks for your time. I'm going to do a reading for you, Yale, but I'm going to say this right now. I don't feel like there's anything to solve right off the bat. If this person has issues, they're going to make it seem like it's your fault or that you've triggered them into acting in such a way that their issues are triggered. So you're the trigger to their issue, right? That can absolutely happen. It has nothing to do with you. These people are generally fairly damaged people to begin with. And sometimes we're just unfortunate enough to get into a relationship with these people. But let's look here. Let's look at the cards. See what we got here. Okay, we're on to Yale's reading, or Yale's reading. If there's a way I can do that. All right. So a lot of times, Yale, like I was saying, other people in relationships will tell you that it is your fault that they are the way they are. I don't know if that happened in this situation, but it's something that can happen. These people are deeply angry and upset with the world, and you can't do anything to solve it or fix it or anything like that because they have put themselves in a situation that they don't want to get out of. So that's the first thing I'm going to talk about there. But let's look at the cards here. So why was he angry? One of the things that I'm seeing here, Yale, is, so we get these cards. We get Blossoming Abundance in reverse. Okay. We get Goddess of the Moon. This to me represents your energy. We get Man Holding a Heart. And then we get First Chakra Archangel Michael in reverse. Okay? So what I'm seeing here is that your sense, I feel like you're more emotionally in tune and in touch with yourself. You're someone who has things figured out. I feel like in an emotional way you understand emotions. You understand the flow of emotions. You understand that. There's an implicit flow with you. And you just get it. This person does not. And I feel like this person is very insecure and is easily threatened. To the point of you feeling comfortable makes this person feel uneasy. And because this person feels uneasy, they want to bring you down to that level. They want to bring you down to feel uneasy. That's kind of the situation that I'm getting here. The thing that we can do in this situation, we can't fix him. That's not possible. He's the only one that can fix himself, just like you're the only one that could fix you. What can happen, though, is that we can focus on ourselves and build ourselves back up so our children can see what that looks like. That can be something that we can work on and that we have control over. We can't control him. We can't control him, we can't control his thoughts, we can't control what he does, but we can control us and we can control how we respond to the different things that are happening here. So him being angry, that's all on him. That is him being angry. If he wants to be angry at the world, if he wants to do that, go ahead. Knock yourself out. Have that be your thing. But it is no longer your concern that way. I do understand he's your ex-husband. You do have kids together. That makes it more of a sticky situation, right? But what you can do with the kids is you can show them that mom is more secure and mom understands what's going on here. This person isn't going to get it, and you can't have a logical conversation with this person. You can't say, this is how you are, and I would like you to change this, because they'll just go off. Logical thought goes out the window. If they're looking for a reason to be angry, you calling them out on their bad behavior is that reason, and they will explode like a powdered keg. They're waiting for it. They're waiting for a reason for themselves to explode, because that helps alleviate their own inner torture that's going on. Torture that you have nothing to do with. But this person, again, they like to make it other people's problem. I don't want you to feel sorry for this person, because that's not going to do anything. That sure as hell isn't going to help you. I feel like the best thing to do is to distance ourselves from the situation entirely. Do what's called gray rocking, where we don't let this person in emotionally. We just let them, it's like we talk about the weather and that's it. I want you to make it so you talk with the kids, you have a connection with the kids, but with him, there is no connection, as much as you can. And I'm sorry this is happening. This is something that is very difficult to go through and not at all easy. But I feel like you owe it to your kids to be the parent that at least has the mental capacity to understand what's going on, which you do. I do feel like you have that sense of integrity and that sense of being there mentally and understanding things. I just feel like this connection to me with this person was a connection through trauma. I feel like this person triggered a sense of feeling inadequate when we met them, or a sense of feeling like we're not enough, and we stayed with them because they had this feeling, or they had this thing over us where they would tear us down, but then sometimes they would build us up. And I feel like, honestly, that the best thing for you to do is just no contact with him, but stay with the kids, obviously. Talk with the kids and have them understand that, you know, we're just doing our best, right? We're just trying to understand things from that perspective. But, and this is the part I hate. You guys come on here, and you're beautiful people. I love you guys so much. But there's things where you say, how can I change this, or what could I change to have this happen? And 99% of the time, I'm going to give you this answer and you're not going to like it. They have to be the one that changes. You can't do anything. The fact is, you've probably already come up with situations where, like if you're coming on here and you're talking with me, it's probably a last resort, because you've sat there and you've thought and thought and thought. And it's not that you're dumb that you can't figure this out. It's that it's not up for you. It's not up for you to solve. I know we want to we want to work through the issues. We want to go through the problems. We want to have this kind of happiness with this connection. But in this connection, it takes two people to have a connection. And if the other person is not willing to be there in that connection, then that kind of answers the question there that it's not a connection. There's nothing there because you're putting forth all the effort. And yeah, so hopefully that helps answer that question for you, Yel. And yeah, thank you, Liz. I appreciate that. I just know we beat ourselves up trying to think of what we could do differently, and it's not our problem. I mean, that sounds awful, but I mean it in the way of a liberation, not in the way where it's like being nonchalant. It's liberating to truly get that monkey, or that monkey's ass, off our back. You know, but again, these are sensitive issues, these are delicate topics, and I don't want anyone to ever think that they're stupid or that what they're going through doesn't matter, because it does, and it's deeply personal. But also, I want you to realize what you're worth, and that when we're allowing these other people in our life, we're literally saying to the universe that we're okay with that. And so we have to understand where we can change and what we can change, and that is why I talk about healing from abuse or healing from different traumas growing up, is because we learned this. To me is a learned behavior. We got it somewhere. We keep picking the wrong partners, or we keep picking the wrong friends, or the situations in our lives, or the wrong jobs, because we don't know ourselves and we're not in congruence with that. As soon as we start understanding that congruency and we start understanding ourselves more, we truly realize what our value is. And we don't let anyone who tries to come in under our value, we don't let anyone come in. We say, no, my space is sacred. I'm a kind and friendly person, but I will just leave you behind if you don't treat me with respect and dignity, because I try to do that for you. That should be how it is, but sometimes there's that people-pleasing mentality that comes in, and we feel like we have to do everything because we're hyper-vigilant of other people's emotions. And because we're hyper-vigilant, we're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and because of that, we're even more tied to their anger. Hey Petra, it has been a minute. Man, it has been a while. How are you doing? I'll do this again here. So give me a second, because I'm going to Give me just a second, guys, while I do this here. Things are going well, Petra. Very, very well. So thank you very much. I'm just happy to see you. I was wondering what the heck happened. But I also go on later too, so it makes it kind of... I can understand why people can't come on all the time. I know it seems like I'm just scribbling, but I have a reason for doing this. Okay, almost done. Okay, so I'm glad to hear you're doing better, Petra. Hold on. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm. This whole thing is new. The graphics here, made them all myself. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm just gonna hold this up because she was not here. So I'm gonna hold this up. So Yeel, go back for your reading. I'm holding this up as a timestamp, so if she's scrubbing through the video, she can see right where she needs to stop. So Yale, if you stopped right here and you're wondering what's going on, go back in your reading about, I'd say about maybe 10 minutes or so, and you should be at where we need to begin here. I also hold this up at the very beginning of your reading before I start doing it. So it's a different sign. It's not like this one. It's not as colored in, but you'll be able to see it. Okay, so that's where your reading starts. This is the end of your reading right here. Okay, so I'm just holding that up so you can see that in case you missed the first part. Okay. All right. I do too, but if she doesn't, that's okay. I mean, I've had people do that. They'll just come in, they'll donate. There we go, Liz. Thank you. Okay. So let me look here. Alright guys, so just put that over there. And Liz, you wanted to be last. So Petra, what have you been up to? Because I mean, it's been, I almost want to say October of last year. So, but you probably came on before then. Maybe you were on in January. Because I stopped doing this for a little while, so I'm curious. You say things are going better, so I love that. I think that's awesome. Well, I also do PayPal as well. But it's just, so you just have different ways of sending money. You can also just go through my website and just do a one-question reading if you want to do it that way. It's PayPal based. I mean, whatever would work, we could do that, and then I can just mark it as good to go. But you can also get discounts on my questions too. I understand these are kind of pricey, but I offer a kind of like a subscription model, $5 a month, $7 question versus 3 questions for $18. You were here 2 or 3 months ago. Okay. It just feels like it's been a while. I don't use or want PayPal. Okay, I hear you. I hear you with that. And I stopped doing the super chat because they take way too much money out of the. They were just screwing with me on the ad revenue and stuff, or on the super chat money, and so I decided to do it this way. Okay. No rush, though, Petra. No rush. We're good. We can just chat here. Just talk for a little bit. Whenever you're wanting to or willing to or however, there is no rush, okay? Okay, so let me do this here. Okay, so yeah. That's why it's like this. I know it seems like I'm being super persnickety with it, like I'm being a little woo-woo out there, but also, if for some reason I'm not able to give a reading or we get disconnected, I can refund your money. If you donate through Super Chat, I can't refund your money. I don't know how to. I don't think there's an option to do it. So when you do it this way, if for some reason we get disconnected, something happens, I can give your money back. But I can't do it the other way. And my streams have had some issues lately, so even more so, that's why I'm pushing this. Oh, you wanted to say hello and listen into the other readings. Well, the only other reading we have here is, for now, is Liz. So, Liz, if you'd want to post your question, we could do it now because there's nobody else in the list, and we can spend as much time as we need to. I figured that's what you meant, Petra. It sucks that they take away part of the money. It does. It really does. I figured that's what you were referring to. Sorry if there was miscommunication there. But I figured that's what you meant. Can't remember what I said about that. Yeah, it does suck. All right, Liz, you want to know if anything will happen with you and the guy named Xavier? First off, one of my favorite characters in Buffy, Xavier. He was always interesting. The character, though, not the actor. The actor's weird, but that's my opinion. Let's do this here. So, will anything happen between Liz and So here's what I get. I get the silver waterfall in reverse. Then I get the garden upright. And then I get inner peace in reverse. So the first thing I'm going to say, Liz, is that the connection feels confusing. Right. The connection feels confusing, though. Or the connection feels vaguely like, what? It's kind of the feeling I'm getting. That's what I feel, is it's like, what is this connection? Obviously, you're asking me, so we're curious about the connection. Does that make sense? And who's Hannah? The name Hannah just came in, and so I don't know if that means anything to you, Liz, but the name Hannah came in. Okay, and it does feel confusing. Okay. So we have right here the silver waterfall. I wonder if I position the camera, if that makes it better. Let's see. Well, you can't see my face unless I go like this. So you see right here. Yeah, it's not going to work. It's kind of weird. However, I can show you the cards. There's something with the name Hannah that came in. Silver Waterfall, the Garden, and Inner Peace. I would honestly say this connection here feels to me like it's more like it just feels kind of more ambiguous here. More like we're questioning it. So I don't feel there's a strong connection here with this person, just because the silver waterfall in reverse, the garden and inner peace, it's making me feel like this isn't quite the connection we would be looking for, even if something were to happen. It feels like this person has kind of a Let me see here, Liz. Would it be okay if I connect psychically? I don't know if they're necessarily in a relationship, but this person's energy that I feel is like... I feel confused. I almost feel like there's some instability with this person. The name Hannah could be something else that came up, but it feels like the person's unstable a little bit. Okay, so let's do this here. So let's see what we can get. So, Liz, I'm going to ask you this here. And you can tell me no, okay? Please do if it's wrong, because sometimes I throw out some really weird things. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. I won't be too hurt about it. Is there anything between you two and an Elvis connection, like Elvis Presley, in a weird way? Anything to do with Elvis? Because if not, that's okay. But there was something with an Elvis connection here, and I'm just curious what that could possibly be. Not that you know of. Okay, that's fine. Do you know if he plays basketball or if he likes basketball? Okay. Okay, there could be something there. It just feels like the connection with this guy feels... It just feels tenuous. Like it feels like we would be making something happen with this connection, not like it would be an organic connection. I feel like you two, I feel like there's a little bit of a connection there, but I feel like you two wouldn't have the same interests or the same kind of things. It just feels kind of like a connection that's on the side, kind of a thing, like a tertiary sort of thing. Okay. That's okay, Liz. That's okay. I'll say this, Liz. With this connection, wait and see if anything happens. And then, take it from there. But I would honestly say, Liz, don't you be the one that starts anything in this situation. Because you've dealt with it before. You've dealt with men that have left you waiting after you've said something to them or after you've flirted. I feel like, and this is not a bad thing at all, but men do not like strong women. And so if you state your intentions first, that can scare them off. And it's not wrong for you to say how you feel at all, but men are bullshit and they are scared of strong women. Okay? You saying how you feel, you doing that's awesome. That's being a straight shooter. Love it. Other people don't. They don't know what to do with that. They're used to playing games. I don't feel like you play games. I feel like you say it how it is. Even if it's awkward, even if it's uncomfortable. You're like, you know what? Here you go. So, I would say, honestly, wait and see if he does anything, if there's a connection there, because you've dealt enough with men that have been too meek and timid to approach you or to be in a relationship with you. I feel like you don't want to have that happen again. I feel like part of you thinks that you're the only one that can start things and move it along. You'll find out as you go along that that's not true, right? You'll find out men will do things when they want to do things. But you also don't want to start off, if there is a connection here, you don't want to start off on the wrong foot by putting in, 99% of the effort and then that. Good. Okay. I just want to help with that. I don't want you to get involved with someone who's a talker and not a doer. Do you know what I mean? Someone who talks a big game and doesn't necessarily do. So take it as it is. Take it as the day goes, kind of a thing. So, you're very welcome, Liz. You're very, very welcome. Hey, Allie. Come here. Come here. Come here. I know. Okay. Here she is again. No, don't be doing that. Good girl. So, yeah, take it as it is, Liz, and with anything else, too, in these relationships, I want you to find someone, this is a suggestion, you don't have to do this, but I want you to find someone that will, be there for you, you kind of go after you, not necessarily chase or pursue, because those are kind of strong words for this, but someone who you feel a connection with and you can see there's a connection. She is, isn't she? Allie is adorable. But I feel like that's something you need to have happen where you can feel that connection and you can feel that because you give it out it would be nice if you were to receive it. So that's why we work on things, and we work through, you know, different things. So, and it comes with time, it comes with practice, but yeah. Okay, guys, I am thinking though, and I know Petra, you just got on here, I know you did, but I'm thinking of calling it good for the night. There you go, definitely no chasing, perfect. I know you did, or I know that normally I'm on a little bit later, but it seems like a little bit of a slower night, and so I'm going to call it good right now. I'm going to go get me some rest, and yeah, you guys take care, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. So everyone take care, be safe, you know, just have a good time. Be safe though. And yeah, I think I'll talk to you guys, like I said, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You guys can come on and see me, so go ahead and do that. And in the meantime, yeah, good night, everybody. Take care, and I will see you guys on Wednesday, or Friday, or next Monday, or next Wednesday. All right, guys, see you later.